Welcome back to JOJ. Today is March 20th.
Happy birthday, birthday girl right here.
I know, they were threatening to sing to me. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes, first day of spring.
It is that.
I try not to acknowledge. Like at a certain point, like I used to be excited for birthdays. Now I'm just thankful I'm still here on birthdays. But like the closer I get to 40, it's...
You're just glad it's spring.
Yeah, just glad it's spring.
Because you're not a wintertime person.
No, I am not a wintertime person. I would be perfectly fine living somewhere tropical year-round.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
They don't have...
What did you get me for my birthday?
I don't know yet.
Let's see. Technically, when we're filming, he still has 12 days to decide this.
Lots of time.
Plenty of time.
I got 12 hours.
But
I still got lots of time.
You're leaving on the 19th, so you technically are 2 days less. So.
Oh, I still got lots of time. Good shape. Yeah.
So we're going to continue on with our Word of the Month example. Mm-hmm. And today we're going to discuss a little bit of the Christian's example and kind of how we are, what we do as Christians are vital to both believers and non-believers. Mm-hmm. So I'll say the first Bible verse we've got is 1 Corinthians 9:24. Do you not know that in a race all of the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize.
Yep. And then Matthew 5, verses 13 through 14, and then verse 16 as well. It says, you are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. And that is, that was Jesus speaking to his disciples in that moment. And anytime, just a little thing on that, and when Jesus is speaking to his disciples, I always just mark out disciples and put us. Mm-hmm. If we're believers, we're disciples. That's that to me. Well, you can say, well, that was Jesus speaking to those 12 dudes. No. That's him. If you're a Christian, he's talking to you right there. So, but yeah, we are. He calls us to be the salt of the earth, the light on a hill. So others can look to us.
Exactly, and so, and I think I had read somewhere, that as a Christian, you as a person may be the only Bible that a non-believer sees. Mm-hmm. So, I think we've talked about this several times of, it's not just hey, I've been saved and baptized and believe in Jesus and going to heaven. With that comes responsibility. Mm-hmm. Because, at the end of the day, our job is to be a disciple and to help lead others towards Jesus, because we're going to come across people that know and love him like we do, and we're going to come across some that are like, I don't need to deal with that. I'm doing my own thing. Yeah. Life is better this way. Yeah. So, we thought we'd just kind of talk about a few examples that we could do, that you can do. And again, I like little challenges. So, just other small things that you can do. Of course, us as parents of a teenager, and gosh, I don't even, the twins are like
preteen. Is that what they call that?
Or tweens.
Tweens,
yeah.
When we were growing up, you were 8, you were 9, then you were 10, then you were 11, then
when
you
were
12.
13, you were a teen.
Then you were a 13-year-old, and then you were a teenager.
But now they got all these different steps. But being an example to them is, gosh, it's vital. And sometimes I don't do the greatest job, especially when they make me angry.
When I'm not here to help.
Yeah.
You can blame me.
Well, I mean, it's even if you're here to help. I mean, sometimes they're just terrible children. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Like they make their own bad choices.
They, and they're really good kids, but sometimes they're just. It's like if your parents, they have their days where they're just, at each other's throats all day, and then they're sassy to you, they're sassy to each other, and then I'm yelling at them, and it just becomes a bad time. Yeah. Or they let the dog eat fish food for the second time in like 4 days. And I'm not talking about like
the whole container.
The whole container of fish food gone again. And they don't have that fish food like at Food City 7 minutes up the road. I have to go to PetSmart to get it, which is 35 minutes up the road. So there's that. I may have made some ugly comments about that last night, but it's okay. They forgave me. So yes, as parents, we have a lot of responsibility to be good examples and to be good godly examples. And when we screw up, to ask them for forgiveness as well, and just try to do better.
I know I've been very guilty of that, on multiple occasions. And I mean, it's stuff that.
Well, Ott's a reactor. Like
yes.
in the situation when things go bad or wrong or they do things they're not supposed to, he immediately reacts and they're grounded a month. No ifs, ands, or buts. They're grounded a month.
It's probably a little bit where Lizzie gets hurt because
she's very reactive.
Yeah, and it's just an instant like punch in the mouth. You know, that's you do something.
She's not done that yet.
She's not done that. She's done other stuff.
Yeah,
mostly to her brother. But I mean, I'm a lot that way. If you do something that I've either told you not to do.
He's getting stressed just thinking about it.
I've told you not to do or whatever, and then you do it. Oh, it fires me up real quick, and I'm liable to react very fast.
Instantly.
And, yes, that I am sometimes I have to ask for patience.
Yes.
Or for forgiveness.
What is it? Slower to angst.
Yeah.
Slower to anger, slower to speak.
Slow to speak.
But you know what I mean? Like
quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we have to strive for that.
Yeah.
And then as and I'll throw it to you, as you being in the spotlight as an angler, there's a lot of attention on how you react to things. And one of our best YouTube videos that we have ever done was the one where the guy on the dock was very, very rude to us, and and for us it was a Sunday, and I just happened to get to be there for that tournament. And Lord, I don't know the last time we had been in a boat together, but we had found this little lake, and we're like, we're gonna turn church on and just go fish and have a good time. And and in that moment, we could have chose to let that guy ruin our day.
Or we could have made sure to ruin his.
One of the two. I think we ruined his either way.
Our presence ruined his day.
Yes. And then we kept catching fish off his stock, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But it just, being an example in that moment. And of course, when we were filming that, because, we were just trying to get content for YouTube. So we had no idea that we were going to have this encounter. But we also didn't act any different than we would have.
That's right.
If there wasn't a camera. I mean, I don't know how many times gets.
Well, here's the deal. If we would have reacted different, whether there was a camera there or not, we would have deleted the card. We would have ended the video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't have to. We could have reacted however we wanted to. It wasn't live.
Yeah.
And we could have. It never happened or whatever. You know, we could have done that. But we reacted the way we reacted because that's
just who
how
we are.
We reacted, and that's who we are, and that was what we did.
Which was a lot harder for me because
actually was.
I don't deal with that a lot of times. He does all the time, and I'm always like, babe, just be kind to them. Don't say anything. Just
let it go.
Let it go. Just move on. Just just go away. Yeah, just move on from their dog. And when he was, I was fired up. I was like, no.
She was ready to walk up on the dock and tell that old man what she thought about him.
And not laugh because he's like, see, it's not easy, is it?
It was, when I tell her, I was fishing these people's dock, and they said, ain't there enough fish somewhere? I hope you just left. I hope you didn't say anything. I hope you just trolled away. And I didn't engage with them. But then in that situation, when somebody else was in the boat, she said, yeah, okay.
It's a good video.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to other than.
But yes, it is for me. And that's because there are times when I know there's cameras on. There's probably times when I may not realize that there are cameras on, but I don't truthfully care if there is or not because I'm going to act the same either way. Because I'm not doing it to glorify people. I'm not doing it to please anybody, honestly, here on earth. That's not, I'm going to act, I'm going to do my best to act the way that God has called me to act, which is to be that light on the hill, for my deeds, for my actions, to be something that glorifies God in that situation. If it's a tough situation where I lost a big fish that I may have made the cut with, or moved me up on score tracker, or won the tournament, or whatever, or if it's celebrating in the win and the final moments, either way, I'm going to give God the credit for that and do my absolute best to control my actions, to control my emotions, to glorify God. Because if we let, in those really high moments or the really low moments, if we let our emotions get the best of us, to me, that shows that I feel like that's evidence that your priorities could be out of line. Because for me, I do my best to keep my eyes focused on what is most important, and that's getting to heaven. That's what's most important. And it's not that you can't mess up and still not get there. That's not what it is. But if your priorities are right, your emotions are always going to be a little bit softer. Your roller coaster of highs and lows isn't going to be as drastic. It's not going to be as big as swings, So
Exactly.
it's the speed bump analogy I've used before instead of the really steep roller coaster with loop-de-loops. It's just little speed bumps along the way. So.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think as in our daily walk is to maybe just evaluate and, like, how are we being an example, whether it's at your workplace or in a job. And, there's just so many aspects to your family members, to your kids, to church members. And, I know sometimes it's, Pastor Mark always talks about, like there's a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of people live different during the week than what they come to church on Sunday. So I would always like to think that what I'm doing in church on Sunday is no different than what I'm doing in my daily walk. And to be that example. So if you do come across an unbeliever or even a believer that's struggling, they look at you and they see something different. They, want to, they are like, I want that. Like, how do you handle that situation so well, kind of thing. So they engage with you, and then, you can tell them the truth. And, so I just think it's so important, something so small, just in an initial reaction to things in life, because we're all going to get handed awful, terrible situations, really good situations. I mean, just anything across the board. I mean, I don't think anything's uncalled for these days. So just, I kind of challenge you to think, of what example are you being to people around you and to those that are looking that you may not know are looking.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. So we'll share the verses again. Matthew 5:13, 14, and then verse 16. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? Don't lose your saltiness. It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven.
And the second one is 1 Corinthians 9:24. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize.
That's right. So.
Yep. And join us next week. We'll wrap up on example, and we're going to kind of have a special episode and highlight a couple people in our lives that have been great examples. So we'll see you next week.
Happy birthday, Jennie.
Happy birthday.